In 1974, a mother named Carol Brandt in Akron, Ohio, fed a family of 6 on $38 a week. That year, grocery prices jumped 16%. Beef nearly doubled. Her husband's paycheck at the rubber plant did not move an inch. Every Friday, he handed her the housekeeping money, and every Friday it bought less. And still the children ate. Still the bills got paid. Still a little went into a jar behind the canned goods. He thought she was a miracle worker. She was not. She had a system, rules her own mother carried out of the Depression. Most are gone now. This was not budgeting. This was survival arithmetic under fire. Inflation was eating the dollar alive, and millions of mothers stood between it and their children. They did it with habits, not apps, with discipline drilled in by hard times, not advice bought by the hour. Then the prices settled, and we called those habits old-fashioned. We traded them for credit and convenience, and we have been paying interest on that trade ever since. Number 26 on this list turned the toughest, cheapest cut in the butcher's case into a meal the whole family remembered, and it cost less than $1. Number 22 cut the meat from the table 3 nights a week, and the children came out healthier for it. And number 1, the rule these mothers held above every other, is the same principle financial planners now charge $200 an hour to teach, except she did it on a grocery allowance and never said a word. These 30 tricks were not about being cheap. They were about refusing to let a runaway dollar take the food off the table. They were the difference between a family that rode out stagflation and one that drowned in it. Hit that subscribe button. Let us count down the 30 secret money tricks mothers in the 1970s used to survive stagflation and keep the family fed. Number 30. The powdered milk switch, the swap no child ever caught. Fresh milk climbed fast those years. She mixed powdered milk, chilled it overnight, and blended it half and half with the fresh. From a cold pitcher, it tasted like milk. A box of powder made a gallon for 30 cents, compared with more than $1 for fresh. The children drank it for years and never knew. Non-fat dry milk was a Depression staple that came back hard when 70s dairy prices spiked. The pitcher told no secrets. Neither did she. Number 29, the meat stretcher, the pound of beef that fed like 2. Beef nearly doubled in 1973, so a pound of ground chuck never went in alone. Oatmeal, breadcrumbs, a beaten egg, and a pound became a meatloaf for 8, with slices left over. Her husband called it the best in the county. He never asked why. The OATS were the secret. So were the 80 cents. General Mills rushed Hamburger Helper to shelves in 1971 as beef soared. The mothers who stretched their own beat the box. Not less meat, more meal. 28. The coupon binder. Number 28. The coupon binder. The hour of clipping that paid like a job. Every Sunday paper carried coupons. She sorted them by aisle and matched them to the sales. Where a store doubled them, a 15-cent coupon cut 30. A careful week trimmed $4 off a $30 bill. She carried the binder like a tradesman's tools. To her, it was wages. Coupon clipping exploded in the 70s, and chains fought back with double coupon days. The scissors were not small, they were a second income. Number 27, the generic switch. The plain white can no one questioned. Starting in 1977, stores stocked no-name goods in white packages with black letters. The same product was 30 to 50% cheaper. She bought the plain can and served it in her own dishes. On the table, a generic bean looked like any other. Her family tasted no difference. It sat in the jar instead. Generics first appeared in a Chicago jewel store in early 1977 and spread fast. The label was plain. The savings were not. Number 26. The crock-pot cheap cut. The toughest meat turned tender. The cheap cuts were too tough to fry. She set one in the slow cooker before work with onions and broth. By evening, it fell apart at the fork. $1 of meat fed everyone. For a mother on a second shift, that pot was mercy. Rival launched the crock-pot in 1971 for working women, and sales soared. The cheapest cut, the richest supper. Number 25. The thermostat at 65. The cold house nobody fought twice. Heating oil climbed all decade. She held the dial at 65 by day, 55 at night. Sweaters indoors. Dropping the dial 6 degrees cut $50 off a winter's heat. The children grumbled, then forgot. The habit outlived the decade. In 1977, a sweatered President Carter asked the nation to turn the heat down. Mothers had done it for years already. She was not cold. She was ahead of the bill. Number 24. The food co-op. The warehouse price in the kitchen. She joined neighbors to buy flour, rice, and beans in 50-pound sacks near wholesale, then split them on a back porch. Buying big cut a staples price by a third. It was an afternoon of weighing and scooping over coffee, and the cheapest grocery run of the month. Food co-ops multiplied as families banded against rising prices. Alone, she paid retail. Together, they paid wholesale. Number 23. The recession garden, the grocery bill she planted in May. She turned over a patch of yard for tomatoes, beans, and greens. All summer, the family ate from the rows, and the surplus went into jars. A small plot grew $50 a season. The children shelled beans on the back step and thought it a chore. It was how they ate through the lean months. Home gardening surged the way Victory Gardens had in the war. She did not buy the vegetables. She grew the budget. Number 22. The bean pot. The protein that cost almost nothing. 3 nights a week, beans and lentils replaced meat. A pound of dried beans cost a quarter, a pound of beef ran near $1, and the beans fed twice as many. Soaked overnight with an onion and a ham bone, they filled every plate. Her children grew strong on beans and cornbread. To her, it was arithmetic. As meat soared in 1973, families leaned on beans, and a housewife's boycott emptied butcher counters. Not poor man's food, a smart woman's economy. Number 21. The day-old shelf. The discount aisle she never mentioned. The bakery marked yesterday's bread to half price. The grocer pulled dented cans for pennies. She served it where no price tag showed. Her family ate a 15-cent loaf believing it cost a quarter. She would not pay full price for a dent. Every working neighborhood had one, and the careful shopped early. The dent was on the can, never on the dinner. Here is what the numbers actually say. Between 1973 and 1974, grocery prices rose more than 16% in a single year. In 1973, housewives ran a nationwide meat boycott that emptied butcher counters. The government answered with buttons that read, "Whip inflation now," as if a slogan could feed a child. The mothers did not wear them. They went home and stretched the beef, soaked the beans, and turned down the heat. They did not whip inflation. They outlasted it, one supper at a time, in kitchens no economist studied. Number 20. The one-trip errand run. The gas she saved by never doubling back. When the embargo hit, Gas lines ran for blocks, and the price leaped from 36 cents a gallon toward 60 cents a gallon. She planned one loop: bank, butcher, doctor, school, and never wasted a trip. She kept the route in her head like a driver. Every gallon she saved was one she did not wait in line for. The 1973 oil embargo sent fuel soaring and cars idling in mile-long lines. She did not chase errands. She caught them all at once. Number 19, the layaway coat, the big purchase that never became debt. A coat she could not buy at once went on layaway. A few dollars down, a few dollars a week, held in back until paid off. No interest, no debt. Her husband admired it and assumed they had the money. They had not. She had bought it slowly, owing no one. Layaway thrived again before plastic took over. He saw the coat arrive. He never saw it being paid for. Number 18, the whole chicken, the bird that became 3 meals. A whole bird ran about 39 cents a pound, and cut up parts cost nearly double. She cut it up herself, breasts one night, thighs the next, and the bones went into stock. One chicken stretched across 3 dinners and a soup. Her children thought she could cook. She could count. The carcass others tossed fed the family on Thursday. Home butchering had faded. The squeezed mothers brought the knife back. Nothing left the bird unused, not even the bones. Number 17, concentrate over fresh. The juice and milk she made herself. A can of frozen orange juice cost $0.25. The fresh carton ran twice that. Powdered drinks, evaporated milk, condensed soup. She bought the concentrated form and added water at home. The water was free. The markup was not. On the table it poured the same. No one tasted the difference between fresh squeezed and a can plus tap. The concentrate aisle became a frugal mother's ally against the produce price. She would not pay good money for water already in her faucet. Number 16, the hand-me-down circuit, the clothes that paid for the next size. She passed coats down, traded with mothers on the block, sold the rest to consignment, then bought the next size the same way. A $10 coat resold for $4. The cash circulated with the clothes. Her children wore good coats, and no one asked where the old ones went. They had paid for the new ones. In the baby boom years, it ran on every block. Nothing was outgrown. It was only passed along. Number 15, the sewing machine, the store-bought look made for pennies. A pattern cost $0.25, a few yards of fabric $1 or $2. She stitched dresses and school clothes at the table at night. A homemade dress cost 1/3 of the rack price and fit better. 3 children wore clothes that looked bought and cost almost nothing. He thought she had a gift. She had a machine and a habit. Home sewing peaked then, when pattern books sold by the million. The dress looked bought. It was built. Number 14, the pressure cooker. The cheap cut cooked fast, the fuel bill cut with it. Beans that took hours cooked in 40 minutes under pressure. A tough cut turned tender on pennies of gas instead of a quarter's worth. It hissed on the back burner while she helped with homework. 2 jobs at once, the way every hour had to count. The pressure cooker, a wartime fixture, came back hard in the energy-anxious decade. Less time, less fuel, the same full plate. Number 13, the Christmas Club, the account that hid in plain sight. She fed it $1 or $2 a week all year. In December, the bank handed it back with a little interest. The ham, the toys, the shoes, all cash, all a surprise. Her husband thought she was clever with the December budget. She was clever with the whole calendar. American banks held millions in Christmas Club savings, much of it mothers. 52 quiet weeks. One loud Christmas. Number 12. The store circuit. The map only she could read. Each grocer ran one item below cost to pull shoppers in. She read every circular, then walked a route. Flour cheap here, the markdown roast there, sugar at a third. An hour saved $1 a week. Her family thought groceries cost what they cost. They never knew dinner came from 3 parking lots. The loss leader was the bait. The mothers who walked 3 stores turned it back on the chains. She did not shop a store. She shopped the whole town. 11. The chest freezer. Number 11. The chest freezer. The bet against next month's prices. When meat went on sale, she bought far more than a week's worth and froze it. The basement freezer held a side of beef bought low, eaten through a season when the store price had already climbed. Her family ate steak in a month when steak had gotten dear, never knowing it was bought cheap in spring. Home freezers spread through American basements to lock in a price before inflation moved it. She did not just store the meat, she stored the price. Here is what the law would not admit. Until 1974, a bank in much of America could refuse a married woman a card or a loan in her own name, and yet she rationed the heat, stretched the beef, and decided whether the family could survive a layoff. The Equal Credit Opportunity Act changed the paperwork in 1974. It did not change who had been doing the work. In a decade when the dollar lost nearly half its value, the thing that kept millions of families fed was not a policy or a paycheck. It was a mother with a notebook and a jar. Number 10. The Repair It Herself Fund. The service call that never got made. A leaking tap, a frayed cord, a torn screen. The easy answer was to call a man and pay $10. She fixed it herself with a wrench and a thing her father had shown her. The family came home to a working tap and assumed it never broke. It had. She had handled it. The 70s sold the idea that every job needed a specialist. The careful ignored it. The drip stopped. The savings did not. Number 9. The coffee can. The bank that sat on the shelf in plain sight. A coffee can behind the canned goods held folded bills pressed flat under a layer of grounds. No one thought to look in the coffee. $5, $10, $20 built up over months. Only she knew what it held. Before home safes were common, the kitchen can was the household vault, as it had been in the Depression. The safest place in the house was the most boring one. Number 8. The babysitting barter. The help that cost no money. She watched a neighbor's children Tuesday. The neighbor watched hers Thursday. The same trade ran for sewing, canning, and rides to town for hours. A second economy ran along the back fences. To an outsider, it looked like friendship. It was how 2 mothers each got an afternoon without paying a sitter. Over a year, the trades were worth $100 the budget never had to cover. Barter carried working families long before anyone called it a network. No cash changed hands. That was the point. Number 7. The real ledger. The numbers no one else read. A notebook in the kitchen drawer recorded what things actually cost, what came in, and what was set aside. It was more honest than any figure her husband carried in his head. When a hard decision came, whether a move, a doctor, or a loan, she already knew to the dollar what the family could survive. He made the announcements. She had done the math weeks before. Home economics taught household accounting as a mother's duty. The best-kept books were better than the banks. He balanced the checkbook. She balanced the family. Number 6. The Sunday roast. The meat that fed the family 3 times. A $2 chuck roast, sliced thin against the grain, fed 8 with potatoes and gravy. On Monday, it became sandwiches. On Tuesday, the last went into soup, 1 cut, 3 suppers. Her husband carved with pride, sure he had set down a real Sunday dinner. He had. He just never saw the roast return on Tuesday. In a meat and potatoes decade, the stretched roast protected the budget and his pride at once. He thought it was a big roast. It was a big talent. Number 5, the home remedy first, the doctor's bill that never arrived. A doctor's visit cost $5 to $10, money the family rarely had to spare. For a fever, a cough, a scraped knee, she reached first for the cupboard, honey and lemon, a cool cloth. She spent only when it might matter. Her children seemed simply healthy. They were also being nursed by a woman who knew minor from serious. Before health coverage was universal, a doctor's call could break a weekly budget. She paid the doctor only when she had to. She always knew when. Number 4, the pin money, the allowance she refused to spend on herself. He gave her $3 a week for her own wants, such as a magazine, a coffee, a pair of stockings. She enjoyed almost none of it. Most weeks it went into the jar while she made the old stockings last. He thought she was treating herself and was glad. She was doing the opposite. The money meant for her smallest pleasures became the family's deepest reserve. Pin money was a wife's private spending. The mothers who banked it built a wall against disaster. He gave it to her to spend. She kept it to save them. Number 3, the first cut. The money divided before it reached the table. On the weeks she cashed the check, she divided it at the bank window. Rent, utilities, groceries, and the jar each took its share before $1 came home. By the time the family saw the money, the saving had already happened, off the top. They thought they saw the whole paycheck. They saw what was left after the week's most important payment. The habit ran through working-class neighborhoods everywhere. The teller saw the saving the family never did. The money was spoken for before anyone could speak for it. Number 2, the quiet gap, spending less than the family believed. She let them think the household cost more than it did, not by lying, but by never correcting the generous figure in their heads. They assumed the family lived near the edge. She ran it well below. The gap between what they imagined and what she spent was the family's slow fortune. Year after year, it bought a paid-off house. Across a decade, holding back $10 a week built $1,000 a year of invisible margin. They thought they spent everything. The difference built everything. Number 1, pay herself first. The simplest rule on this list, and the one she guarded most. Before the groceries, before a single bill. The first thing she did with the money was set a little aside, $1, sometimes 50 cents. It went into the jar before anything else had a claim. Not what was left at the end. There was never anything left. It came first, or never. The amount was almost nothing. The order was everything. The magazines and bank pamphlets preached it. The mothers who lived by it had learned it in the Depression. Not what you earn, what you keep before the world can reach it. None of these tricks required a degree, an advisor, or $1 these mothers did not already hold in their hands. They required attention. They required a woman willing to look at a shrinking paycheck without flinching. The 70s were the decade the dollar betrayed everyone. Prices doubled, lines at the pump, savings melting as you watched. The men are remembered as the breadwinners. We built the whole story around the paycheck and forgot the woman who made the bread last. She fed her children on beans and a stretched roast. She turned the heat down and the powder into milk. She kept the family one step ahead of a runaway dollar and let everyone believe it was luck. It was never luck. It was 1,000 small decisions made in a kitchen where no one was watching. These were not a mother's secrets. They were a family's foundation. And we have spent 50 years forgetting who poured it.